across to who it is you want to target, so that there's no confusion. You've got to be quite clear about what your message is.
Can you please all the people all the time?
No.
What would you do then? Would you accept, would you either not do anything, which seems to be the message that the legal side of social media was expecting to know, or would you take the risk that actually this could be over some people's heads? It might be dumbing it down for some people, but actually something is better than nothing as long as that's not the only thing that's being delivered. Where would you strike the balance?
Probably some middle ground. You know, you can't be over, if it's can't be over technical for some people, can't be under technical for other people, so you just have to try and get a balance of that. And please, not the whole lot will please everybody, but a certain percentage of somebody will get something out of a certain percentage of it.
A good way of doing that is one of the videos that I put online, which was actually to get your learner group to look for videos and then offer those links back to you or your team as the facilitator, and then actually get your learners to curate the content, because obviously they're your learners, they're going to know what suits them the best. And of course the fact that you've asked them to view 4 or 5 videos but only come up with the top one, they're viewing 4 or 5 videos, so there's a great way for them to, you know, perhaps subconsciously start to assimilate some information at some level, even though you're only asking them to contribute 1 link back. You get 10 students to do that, and you've got 10 links that should appeal to those 10 learners. So thank you very much for that. Any of the middle groups here in the middle of the room?
Well, we were kind of discussing, you know, things around the use of existing video on YouTube and then embedding that into VLEs, etc. There isn't necessarily always a case for making your own videos and then editing them and putting them up. So that was one of the kind of
and I think I remember sort of e-wigging your story about why your particular organisation decided to go down that route. It actually makes great sense, otherwise you end up creating content that's out of date the next day. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, we've at the University of York we've moved all our mail and calendaring everything onto the Google for Education platform. And we immediately had staff saying, you need to train us how to do this. Can you run training courses in it and what have you? And they were expecting us to do something like we would do for Word or Excel or what have you. And we took the conscious decision that we wouldn't do that, because you can't actually design training materials for Google applications because you arrive on a Monday morning and it's changed. So we
to a lesser degree, the same with Microsoft. To a lesser
the same with Microsoft, but with a Microsoft upgrade, we have control over when it happens, and so we know when we're going from one version to the next. With Google, you have no idea. So we took the decision that we wouldn't generate our own material, and so what we're putting together actually a Google site which simply embeds material that we found on YouTube, and if it's good, we use it. If it's rubbish, we don't. If a lot of them are based on the earlier design of the Google apps, and when they become too far out of date, we can just ditch them and find something else. And so
to do that, then actually have to create the
and we feel that's actually more cost effective than creating the training material ourselves.
We
talked about the fact that at University of Salford, in the careers department, we use videos to advise students on particular things that we highlighted were they were repeatedly coming in with the same problems. So we've created videos on Camtasia, and we've uploaded those onto YouTube and so on. So rather than them having repeated appointments with advisors, they can first go to that video, and then obviously if they need additional support after that, then they can go and see an advisor. But even though people initially thought that the time at the start to actually create videos would be a lot of resources and a lot of time, in the end it's exactly. So
Bernardo's have done a very similar thing. They're, as you can imagine, huge audience. But I didn't realise it was so big until I started speaking with one of their senior IT people. Very, very varying degrees of IT competency. Very, very different locations from their corporate headquarters to the kind of shops you see on your high street. And what they identified was every quarter, every 6 months, they look at their top 10 frequently asked questions to their help desk and create screencasts around that. And that's really, they very rarely see those 10 recur again. It's a different 10, but they very rarely see those 10 recur again. So at some point, their help desk calls will be reduced as a result of identifying that trend then creating a learning need to meet the trend rather than anticipating a learning need. And finally, the group at the front, please, if you share yours.
Yeah, we were talking about, if you were uploading things to YouTube, understanding the different kind of categories of protection you might want to put on things. So you can make things completely public, as most content is, or you can make it, I think it's invited, where you just send people the URL and then they can follow that link, but they can't just search for it and find it as a public video. Or you can make things more protected and be private, so people actually have to have accounts and to log in. So understanding what those options are and how they may be best used for different types of content and different kind of circumstances.
And as if by magic, behind you, as a big example of that, this is a personal video of mine. It's my son and daughter on Easter Sunday, rummaging around the garden. Trying to find Easter eggs, they're very well hidden. They found them. And here's the option here. I've made it private because obviously I only want my family to be able to see this. So I've made it private. I can do that at the point of uploading from my phone, or not from, yeah, from my phone or my mobile device. I can do it at that point, so there is no lapse in security. I can then go on to this and obviously do more editing, but I've made it private. I have to invite these people to view it. That's secure. The next option is I can make it unlisted. So that means it doesn't appear in YouTube's search engine. I have to take the URL and send it to yourself and yourself because I trust you. If you then send it elsewhere, those other people that I don't know, they can still see it. So there's a degree of initial security, but if it's passed on, that security is breached. And then the final sort of level is public, as probably the content that a lot of you access is publicly available content. There's no restrictions placed on it whatsoever. So I'll just make sure that I save that back to private. And those are the 3 restrictions. Then under Video Manager, once you've made an upload, might be an idea if you're still toying with YouTube, take your phone, take your video camera, create 10 seconds of just nonsense footage, you know, the dog asleep in front of the fire, upload it, then just play with the settings of YouTube about the date it was taken, the location. You can add a location to a video and you can take it off. I almost always take mine off because I don't want people knowing where I live, because if they know where I live, and I'm tweeting that I'm at a conference at the other end of the country, there's obviously considerations to be had there. So by default, I don't disclose the location about where something was filmed. But thank you for all the groups for sharing that. But the crash group for now, we need to kind of put it into context with that particular example there. For anybody that was thinking that you had or have or would like to get an organisational YouTube account, or think you've got one, just think again. I want to show you what I mean by think again. Just appearing on the screen now are my DGO social bookmarks that have been tagged UCISA/YouTube. So they were done as part of the research for this event. I've added another one to it after this morning's event this morning. So it's a living, breathing thing. You'll be able to access this via a QR code and a shortened URL that I'll put up on the very, very last slide. So there's a bit of a living, breathing database of UCISA/YouTube related information. Within that is this Google group forum. I'm not going to read it out to you. I'm not going to scroll through it. Do that in your own time. Have a look at it. Essentially, it comes from an individual who thought, they did think, and quite well clearly in the frame now, that they had an organisational YouTube account they'd done. The YouTube account is owned by the individual who set it up. The individual may be part of a bigger organisation. They probably are. The account does not belong to the organisation. It belongs to the individual who set it up under their Google account from day one. And there is no way around that. And you can see from this thread of forum, that's just the way it is. And it appears, and there's some colourful language used, that Google really don't give a jot about whether it's the organisational account or not. That's just the way it is. And let's be honest, it's not hampered YouTube's success. So just be careful and be wary about that. If you thought you had an organisational account or you were thinking you could get one, definitely worth considering.
Would it be possible to set up a Google organisation account and then from there set up a YouTube account under that organisation's Gmail address?
It would still be an individual. You'd need to be sharing that login detail around multiple people. Yeah. It seems more feasible to. It seems feasible to do that. Whether it's possible, I don't know.
And you wouldn't be restricted in doing that. There's no rules that say you're not supposed to share usernames and passwords for YouTube channels or Gmail accounts.
Standard data security concerns and common sense, I don't believe so. No.
I've done something with our team accounts. We have like a shared team account, so I've set up an account with our shared team account. I think I kind of have to make up the data versus the
Right.
so that was kind of a bit of
So it's a workaround to it, isn't it?
so it was, so because everyone knows that, and we have a kind of a password that we use on that account for various things. So it's a bit of a workaround. I'll say you can kind of
You can get there with a bit of thought, a bit of conniving.
yeah. But
Do you want to know?
really, I'm not quite sure, but I did anyway.
I have a shared Google account for nothing to do with
Yeah.
for my daughter's school PTA.
Right?
A few of us use for fundraising,
Yeah.
so we just
Share it that way. I do want to move, I don't want to cut people, I just want to move on because I can see people queuing outside. Just want to remind people, yes, we concentrated on YouTube for this. Whether you want to take something away from this or not, or actually whether it's just prompted you to think, I didn't realise you could do that with YouTube, I wonder what other things you can do with the typical platforms that we've got. You can add audio to slides and upload them, so essentially you create a bit of a movie from your slides. You're not just uploading your slides, but adding audio to them, synchronising. Text messaging, far overlooked in most organisations. LinkedIn, you can add groups. Sue talked this morning about the benefits of LinkedIn. I've been auto-tweeting from PowerPoint during this morning's session, maybe this afternoon, I don't know if it worked this afternoon, but this morning I was automatically sending tweets from my PowerPoint presentation when it hit certain slides. Flickr, the fact that you can add rollovers on top of Flickr and add annotations to images and get your learners to add annotations. None of these things people automatically assume with these platforms. Same as they assume that there's lots of things, hopefully, that you've read from the videos, from these conversations, from the short example I showed you about editing the timestamp within YouTube. If you want to read any more about this, there's the QR code, there's the shortened URL at the bottom. That will go through to my Digo social bookmarks on UCISA/YouTube. I'll add to that in the future. Feel free to sort of, use and abuse that social bookmark in there. There's everything I've talked about, this is in it, as well as a heck of a lot more. Thank you ever so much for your time. Thanks for your interactions and also for your contributions back during this session yourself and in advance of the session by watching the videos. Thanks very much. Cheers.